Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of history's most fascinating and multifaceted figures, Giacomo Casanova. Now, if you think Casanova was merely a legendary seducer with a penchant for scandal, prepare to have your perceptions challenged. In this deep dive, we'll explore the technical and historical intricacies of his life that extend well beyond just his notorious love affairs. Casanova was not simply a libertine, he was a man of profound intellect, a frequent traveler across 18th century Europe, and a keen observer of the social and political landscapes of his time. We'll cover everything from his tumultuous upbringing in the culturally rich but indulgently decadent Republic of Venice to his daring escapes from the infamous Doge's palace prison utilizing improvised tools and in-depth knowledge of architecture. Throughout the script, we'll examine his contributions to gambling strategies, secret societies such as the Freemasons, and even early scientific thought. So whether you're a history buff, a connoisseur of literature, or simply curious about the complexities of his character, you're in for some technical insights that blend historical analysis with engaging storytelling. Let's jump into the life of Giacomo Casanova as we uncover his enduring legend with precision. Let's travel back to the early years of Casanova's life, a period steeped in the vibrant and complex culture of 18th century Venice. Born in 1725 into a family immersed in the theatrical arts, Casanova's early environment was one where performance and spectacle were not just entertainment, but a way of life. His parents were actors, which meant that from the outset, he was surrounded by the dramatic flair and expressive communication that would later define parts of his personality. Venice itself, a city known for its intricate social stratifications and booming tourism, an estimated 30,000 visitors during peak carnival seasons, formed an ideal backdrop for intellectual and social experimentation. The city's unique political structure, under the stewardship of the Venetian Council of Ten, tolerated numerous social vices, which allowed Casanova to witness firsthand both the decadent pleasures and the tightly controlled moral codes of his society. Growing up, he encountered a paradoxical blend of neglect and academic rigor. His mother, Zanetta Ferrucci, embarked on extensive tours, leaving him in the care of his formidable grandmother, Marzia Baldessera. It was this early separation that instilled in him a longing for recognition and intellectual stimulation. Anecdotes recount his childhood nosebleeds, an event surrounded by mysterious remedies and superstitions, a primitive encounter with pharmacological practices that, interestingly, paralleled the rudimentary experiments in early chemistry and medicine during that era. Such experiences not only sparked his curiosity about the tangible world, but also seeded his fascination with the mystical arts. Casanova's upbringing, though marked by personal hardship, provided him with an early education in both formal and informal settings. The dramatic and often contradictory lessons of Venice's cultural and political life would later serve as a template for his own exploits. Interactions with courtesans, cardinals, and theatrical virtuosos were no longer abstract. They were lived experiences that he meticulously recorded in his memoirs. In retrospect, his formative years in Venice can be seen as a microcosm of a society on the brink of modernity, where art, science, and clandestine knowledge intermingled in ways that continue to fascinate experts today. Moreover, the early Venetian environment provided a rigorous crucible for economic, architectural, and maritime innovations, significantly influencing Casanova's later analytical approach to both culture and survival profoundly. Key influence. Transitioning into his youth, Casanova's educational journey was as unconventional as it was rigorous. At the tender age of 9, he was sent away from the neglectful environment of his home to a boarding house in Padua, where living conditions were infamously harsh. Yet even in this challenging setting, he demonstrated an insatiable appetite for knowledge. Under the supervision of Abbe Gozzi, who became both his guardian and mentor, Casanova was introduced to subjects ranging from law and moral philosophy to early chemical theories and mathematics. This diverse curriculum laid the groundwork for his analytical prowess, which would later manifest in his writings and tactical approaches in gambling and espionage. At an impressively young age, Casanova was exposed to an array of intellectual stimuli. Entering the University of Padua at just 12 years old, he quickly mastered the intricacies of legal studies, despite his own later admission of harboring an unconquerable aversion to the field. His academic pursuits were complemented by lessons in music, particularly the violin, and medicinal practices, as he frequently concocted his own treatments, practices that mirrored the experimental nature of Enlightenment science. Notably, these formative experiences were interwoven with personal awakenings. One particularly memorable moment occurred in the household of Abbe Gozzi, where he experienced his first genuine contact with the opposite sex through a playful encounter orchestrated by the priest's younger sister, Bettina. This early initiation into human intimacy not only foreshadowed his future exploits, but also underscored the dual nature of his character, both an earnest scholar and a burgeoning libertine. As he matured, these educational experiences forged a resilient and multifaceted intellect. In summary, the intensity of Casanova's early educational experiences not only laid a robust intellectual foundation, but also instilled in him a capacity for boundless curiosity and adaptive innovation throughout his life. After completing his formal education, Casanova's career trajectory diverged dramatically from the conventional paths of his time. Initially, he attempted a clerical law career by accepting minor orders, but his inherent disdain for rigid institutional structures soon pushed him away from any permanent ecclesiastical role. In fact, within just a few short years, Casanova had engaged in a dizzying array of occupations that showcased both his versatility and his audacious spirit. His early ventures included serving as a military officer in a Venetian regiment stationed in Corfu, where he adopted the guise of a disciplined soldier, albeit one whose uniform and demeanor were more theatrical than martial. This was followed by an intense spell as a gambler, a vocation in which he swiftly became known for his remarkable ability to calculate odds and manipulate game strategies, even as he incited controversy with his flamboyant antics. Not one to confine himself to a single identity, Casanova also experimented with the life of an artist, performing as a violinist in the San Samuele Theater. His time on stage, though considered menial by some, allowed him to hone a unique blend of artistic expression and persuasive charm. Yet, perhaps the most defining aspect of this period was the series of scandals that punctuated his early career in Venice. His escapades, ranging from elaborate practical jokes, such as untying gondolas at dockside to provoke public mischief, to accusations of grave moral transgressions, led him into deep trouble with the local authorities. At one point, a duel of sorts erupted following his retroactive involvement in a scandal concerning a young accused of duping him. Although acquitted on a technicality due to insufficient evidence, the incident marked him as a persona non grata in Venetian society. The cumulative weight of these controversies ultimately forced Casanova into a self-imposed exile, prompting him to embark on what would later be described as his grand tour across Europe. In seeking new horizons, he navigated through the shifting political landscapes of Italy and beyond, leveraging his wit and network of influential patrons to secure passage and favors along the way. His early career, characterized by an amalgamation of calculated risk-taking and spontaneous adventure, laid the groundwork for a life that blended scholarly pursuits with the unpredictability of chance. In retrospect, these formative years were not merely a series of occupational experiments, but a masterclass in adaptive strategy, a vital prelude to remarkable exploits. Indeed, one of the most astounding chapters in Casanova's life is his imprisonment and ingenious escape from the Doge's palace. Arrested in 1755 on charges of affronting religion and common decency, Casanova found himself confined in the notoriously grim Leeds prison, a set of cells on the upper floor of the palace characterized by oppressive conditions, sweltering heat, and a plague of fleas. During his incarceration, he endured not only physical hardships, but also the psychological torment of isolation in an environment devoid of natural light, where even a simple meal became a calculated risk. It is here that we see the early signs of his problem-solving skills and determination. Locked away in a single cell with only his wits for company, Casanova began meticulously planning his escape. His method was as audacious as it was ingenious. Using an iron bar, secretly sharpened over days, he engineered a means to bore through the wooden floor beneath his bed. With every painstaking stroke, he transformed a mundane piece of furniture into a vital tool of liberation. Remarkably, he also exploited the routines and superstitions of his fellow prisoners and even the jailers. By manipulating the fears of a neighboring cellmate, a renegade priest known as Father Balbi, Casanova secured the assistance he needed to execute his daring plan. The breakthrough came during a festival, a time when the authorities were distracted by celebratory duties. In a cleverly orchestrated maneuver, Casanova and Father Balbi passed the sharpened spike hidden beneath an armchair and used a Bible as a makeshift tool to create a hole in the ceiling. Once the passage was made, he climbed through the gap, navigating the perilous descent to the adjacent chamber and ultimately reaching the roof. From the high vantage point of the Doge's palace, he descended via a commandeered ladder and a bedsheet rope to a nearby canal, where his waiting gondola provided a swift and silent exit. This episode is not just a testament to Casanova's physical ingenuity. It reflects his deep understanding of human psychology and the bureaucratic inefficiencies of 18th century Venetian society. Detailed accounts of this escape, complete with timelines, measurements, and observed vulnerabilities in the prison's architecture, demonstrate that his actions were the result of calculated risk-taking, underpinned by precise, almost scientific reasoning. Ultimately, his escape secured his freedom and cemented his reputation as a formidable and resourceful figure whose legacy has fascinated scholars for centuries. Beyond doubt, indeed. Arguably, no facet of Casanova's storied life is as renowned as his exploits in love, seduction, and gambling, a triumvirate that defined much of his persona. For the erudite audience, his relationships were not mere romantic escapades. They were complex interactions interlaced with strategy, economics, and even early numbers-driven risk assessment. Casanova famously cataloged over 120 liaisons in his memoirs, each meticulously detailed with observations on timing, probability, and social dynamics. He employed a blend of charm, eloquence, and what we now recognize as psychological manipulation to navigate the labyrinth of courtship, often engaging with women who were themselves intelligent and socially astute. In the realm of gambling, Casanova emerged as a master tactician at games such as faro, lotteries, and piquet. His understanding of odds and probability was advanced for his era, enabling him to both win substantial fortunes and, at times, strategically lose enough to avoid the pitfalls of excessive greed. His exploits in gambling were underpinned by mathematical reasoning that predated formal probability theory, making his strategies a subject of study among experts today. Through careful analysis of card distributions and betting patterns, he honed a skill set that combined both instinct and nascent statistical insight. Simultaneously, his seductions were driven by a similar calculus. Casanova tailored his approach to each encounter, gauging emotional responses and adjusting his methods in real time. His letters and diary entries reveal a man deeply fascinated by human behavior, often comparing the dynamics of romance to maneuvers in a high-stakes game of chance. This intersection of passion and pragmatism was not coincidental. It was a deliberate adaptation to the volatile social environments of European courts and gambling dens. The synthesis of these pursuits not only enriched his personal life, but also contributed to his enduring legend. Today, Casanova's techniques offer a rare glimpse into the sophisticated social strategies of the 18th century, combining the arts of seduction with early quantitative analysis in gambling. His life serves as an intricate case study in the interplay of desire, intellect, and calculated risk, illustrating how personal indulgence can coexist with and even enhance strategic acumen, clearly unmatched. In his final years, Casanova's life settled into a reflective tone, marked by both literary productivity and personal decline. After years of relentless travel and scandal, his return to Venice in 1774 was met with mixed emotions. On the one hand, he enjoyed celebrity status as a once exiled adventurer. On the other, the city had changed and opportunities dwindled. Facing the inevitable passage of time, Casanova spent his later years in Bohemia, serving as a librarian to Count Waldstein, a role that, while secure, lacked the excitement of his earlier exploits. During this quieter period, he dedicated himself to writing his extensive memoirs, Histoire de ma vie, a work that has since become a critical primary source for understanding 18th century European society. His writings not only chronicled his legendary escapades, but also provided detailed insights into the political, social, and economic underpinnings of his era. Notably, Casanova's memoirs, written in French for broader accessibility, reveal his deep engagement with subjects ranging from alchemy and Freemasonry to the early stirrings of modern science. Researchers have noted that his precise observations and methodical note-taking reflect a mind that was always quantifying the world around him, from gambling odds to the intricate power dynamics of European courts. Despite his personal and financial decline, Casanova's legacy endured well beyond his lifetime. His memoirs continue to influence both historical scholarship and modern pop culture, serving as a vivid window into the complex interplay of intellect, desire, and adventure. For experts, his life remains a multidisciplinary case study that bridges literature, history, and even early scientific thought, an enduring reminder of the enigmatic man behind the myth. Ultimately, Casanova's final years exemplify the convergence of personal reflection and historical documentation, offering modern scholars a meticulously detailed narrative that enriches our technical understanding of 18th century societal structures beyond measure. Wrapping up our exploration of Giacomo Casanova's extraordinary life, we've traversed a journey that spans the vibrant, theatrical streets of Venice to the hidden corridors of secret societies and daring prison escapes. Casanova's life, filled with calculated risks, intellectual curiosity, and a relentless pursuit of pleasure, stands as a testament to the multifaceted nature of human endeavor. His adventures, underpinned by early forms of statistical reasoning and strategic negotiation, offer both a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration for those looking to understand the intersection of art, science, and personal freedom. As we reflect on his legacy, it is evident that Casanova was more than just a legendary seducer. He was a complex innovator who operated within and against the stringent moral frameworks of his time. His memoirs, rich with detailed accounts and technical observations, continue to offer invaluable insights into 18th century European society, illuminating the intricacies of everything from legal systems to gambling mechanics. They remind us that history is as much about the rigorous, methodical documentation of events as it is about passion and unpredictability. Thank you for joining us on this in-depth journey into the life of one of history's most enigmatic figures. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious. Ultimately, delving into Casanova's life reveals not only the historical intricacies of 18th century Europe, but also challenges us to reconsider modern perspectives on risk, intellect, and the nature of freedom right now.